Positioning is one of the most important skills to have as a good Marvel Rivals player, but it can be confusing and overwhelming to know exactly where to position yourself sometimes. I'm going to teach you a clear and straightforward method to come up with a good position every single time. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 simple guidelines for a good position, then I'll go over some gameplay to highlight both good and bad examples of positioning, but hopefully mostly good. And then at the end, I'll give you an easy game plan on how to actually practice and apply these methods in your games right away. Ever feel like you're a sitting duck in Marvel Rivals as a strategist, getting picked off before you even have a chance to heal? Stick around, I'm breaking down the rules to nail your positioning, turn fights in your favor, and climb ranks without the headache, or at least less of one. A lot of players talk about needing to fix their positioning in Marvel Rivals, or admitting it's holding them back, but they really break down what makes a position actually solid. So let's define it clearly right now. A strong position as a strategist gives you clear line of sight to your teammates, ideally the whole squad, but at least your vanguards and playmakers, and some view of the enemy without exposing yourself too much. It should have solid natural cover, like walls, the objective, or high ground ledges, and keep you at your hero's sweet spot range. And for most strategists, that's around mid-range, where you can heal safely without getting dove as easily. You'd also factor in the enemy's lineup when dialing in that range. For instance, hug your vanguards and play closer to your team, who can help protect you from dive threats like Black Panther, who can close gaps fast. And yes, some teams will straight up not protect you. You'll be alone in the backline, but you can still position yourself to where it makes it virtually impossible to ignore the enemy Magik if you're dancing circles around your Magneto. So these 3 pillars, sight lines, cover, and range, are equal in weight for building a reliable spot. And something else I'll mention is positioning is fluid, like a hot bowl of porridge. The situation and layout in a round changes by the second a lot of times, and you need to adapt accordingly. Another layer is snagging an off-angle position that splits from your main team group, letting you heal from a surprise flank or poke without drawing fire. But that's map dependent and not always feasible if your team's bunched up. Other takeaways like ability cooldowns or ultimate charge can tweak things, but stick to these guidelines and you'll be set up to support your team effectively in most fights. And let's expand on why this matters for strategists specifically. Unlike duelists who can frag out or vanguards who can soak damage, your job is keeping everyone alive while chipping in utility, like Rocket's revives or Mantis's damage boosts. Bad positioning means you die first, your team crumbles, and suddenly it's a 5v6 wipe. But get it right, and you're the unsung hero turning lost fights into wins. Pro tip from top players: always scan for high ground as a strategist. Maps like Hydra Base have ledges where you can heal down without easy access for enemies, like you see the red line leaning up to in this image. It's like being the puppet master, safe, overseeing everything, and pulling strings with heals. Of course, you'll have to rotate or abandon this specific placement if you're getting targeted, but even in higher ranks, you'd be surprised how much you can get away with here. And another piece, and this really could be its own video, but I want to pack this one with as much good stuff as I can. If the enemy team is running dive, like a heavy dive comp like Black Panther and Hulk or Venom, who insists living in your backline, play closer to your team, especially your vanguards. Your Emma Frost can chokeslam them into oblivion, and your Doctor Strange can burst anyone in the game down if given the opportunity. If your Magneto isn't sleeping, he can also bubble you. Half or more of a Vanguard's typical kit can do so much to protect you from pesky enemies trying to take you out to a not so nice lunch. Now, not all Vanguards or even Duelists will do this consistently for you, but if you play closer to your team, it will boost your odds of survival. If you increase your uptime, that means you're alive longer to pump more heals into your team. If your team is up more, that means they're building their ultimate charge. They're increasing your team's odds of securing a pick. And you are also building alt charge. Now, let's apply all the above to specific heroes. Adam Warlock. As a strategist, Adam Warlock brings a cosmic edge with his ability to link allies for shared resilience with his soul bond, channel healing streams that bounce between teammates, and even pull off revives that can swing entire fights. Plus, he packs solid damage potential to pressure enemies while supporting. So how do you position with someone like this? You can play him aggressively near the front line actually by weaving in shots mid-fight, soul bond your teammates to split incoming damage in the middle of the pack, or you can hang back to oversee revives and heals. But the focus should be on the mid-range positioning here, where you can alternate between off-angle poking the enemy team and topping up your squad. Use corners or low or even elevated spots to line up easy to hit shots. still ensuring you're close enough to support but not exposed to the point you eat unnecessary hits. If your team is getting dove hard, reposition to a safer angle and link with your vanguards to have that pressure, but save it for big incoming damage moments since it takes 29 business days to recharge. When enemies pile on, play more defensively in the backline, using your damage to peel while keeping tabs on your other strategists for mutual support. For those big revive plays, always scout a secure spot and keep it in the back of your mind. Even when your team changes positions mid-fight, behind a wall, near your team, or on high ground, because savvy opponents will swarm you the instant you commit to that revive, and staying alive lets you follow up with sustained value rather than respawning empty-handed. The biggest takeaway for Adam's positioning would be off angle when you can to provide pressure. Doing so ensures the enemy team needs to react, play more defensive, heal more, and you're not forced to heal your team as much, which is a good thing since you can't just spam heals like most strategists. Cloak and Dagger. You can unironically be a payload princess and help push the objective along by keeping your team up as Cloak and Dagger, especially if your team is making space. You can play in the back, out of harm's way, and keep your team up. If you get dove, you can bubble yourself and swap heals back and forth with your other strategist. And I know, you won't always have teammate strategists who will heal you, but sometimes, not always, sometimes you will influence how they play simply by playing correct yourself. You'll think, hey, my Cloak and Dagger was actively healing me there. I need to return the favor. Because if you lose your Luna Snow in the fight, you're not keeping your other 4 teammates up if the enemy team is even half decent. So position yourself to where you can keep tabs on your other strategist and your teammates frontlining. Corners are your best friend, as practically any strategist, so play around them when you can. Again, if you're in the back line, you can keep line of sight on most of your team while mitigating what the enemy team sees of you. When it comes to using your ultimate, until you start getting into higher ranks, don't expect your Magneto to bubble protect you or for your Doctor Strange to shield off enemy ultimates targeting you. So you're gonna need to have an end positioning in mind. Does the enemy Iron Man have an ult most likely ready? You'll need to anticipate that and maneuver accordingly. End your ultimate behind cover and expect them to try to kill you before your ult even ends. Maybe in your mid ult they'll try to take you out. Smart players will do this. The higher you climb, the more you'll see this. So ult around the payload, around walls, behind your vanguards. Just don't always stretch your ultimate out saying you're providing your team space. Remember, you need to be alive after your ult for it to provide as much value as possible. You can't do that if you're back in spawn. If you're already imagining yourself as an untouchable strategist wizard, but you feel like you want to support more than just on the battlefield, consider subscribing. And if you want to kick it up a notch, you can support the channel by becoming a channel member. It supports me, unlocks custom badges for you, and there's even a coaching tier if you want to go to that level. I really appreciate the support you guys have been showing. Thank you. Back to the video. Invisible Woman. As a strategist, Invisi-Lizzie offers a ton of flexibility in how you approach fights. You can create protective barriers for your team, use force pull or push to manipulate enemy positions, slip into stealth for quick repositions, or even blend healing with some offensive pressure. But the key is knowing what to prioritize and when to make those moves without overcommitting. Generally, you want to hang mid-range with your team, using corners and natural choke points to peek and apply your barriers or pulls without exposing yourself fully. You can play around the mission vehicle for additional protection and be on the lookout for when you can heal multiple teammates at once or damage multiple enemies at once. Most Invisible Woman players do not do this enough, I promise. If you can position yourself to heal and deal damage simultaneously, that's how you can extract maximum value out of this hero. If your Vanguard is pushing aggressively, position just behind them to shield their advance and force push divers away or pull them out of position before they collapse on you. Reposition often, especially when the enemy backline is clumped. Line up a force pull or a vortex to force them into your team's fire. Avoid frontline brawls at all costs. You're too valuable for that, and getting caught out means your team loses that defensive edge. There's a time and a place when you would quite literally need to set the pace and even frontline a smidge to force your Vanguard to claim more space, especially in lower ranks, but you don't have frontline staying potential, so remember what you're best at. Providing multiple teammates heals, and you can shield anyone and protect them from otherwise certain death that can swing more fights than you think. If you're getting focused by the longer range duelists or flyers, reposition yourself to where you're behind your beefy tanks, which will help you maintain your sight lines on your allies. and provide additional healing since you're positioned properly and not just standing wherever because it feels safe in the moment. Really think about where your kit shines here. You want to be short to mid-range from your teammates to set them up for success and do damage. You can do a lot of damage by pocketing your teammates. Do you know how impressive it is if you literally stand right behind your Groot and increase his damage while giving him endless healing? You increase his damage because you're doing damage in this case. You're not always going to be able to do this, but when Groot and you are dealing damage, that's more HP the enemy team needs to heal now, and you get to maintain your momentum. You are not just a heal bot, despite how you see most Sue Storms played. And when it comes to bigger plays like channeling a massive shield clutch or pull during a team ult combo, always have an exit plan. End it behind cover or near a teammate who can peel, because smart enemies will hunt you down the second you commit. Jeff the Land Shark. There's a lot you can do with this strategist. You can off angle, you can heal single targets fast, you can heal multiple teammates, you can place your bubbles around the map and play off of them, you can pocket your vanguards, you can play far back in the back line. Again, there's a lot you can do here. But what should you be doing and when? With Jeff, you can reposition relatively safely. So you should be repositioning constantly when the situation isn't ideal for you. You should, in general, never be on the point. That doesn't mean you need to treat the point like the floor is lava or anything, but there are too many AoE or group damage abilities that enemy teams can leverage that gives them more value with you sitting your little shark booty on the point. If you play back, it literally gives you a zoomed out view of the fight so you understand who needs help and when. If you get dove, you can sneaky swim away. Don't forget, you can swim up walls, which is crazy. Always be looking for ways to maximize your healing and damage output, which would be lining yourself up in a way to heal multiple people at once and ideally damage multiple people at once too. If you only have one takeaway for Jeff, let it be this. Be constantly looking for ways you can line yourself up to heal or damage 2 or more enemies and or teammates at once. Remember, you're a repositioning machine, so use this to your advantage. And another note, you playing back a bit ensures you're able to see your partner in crime, your other strategists, or multiple strategists if you have them, so you can give them your magical water of life. Or Loki, who can roam more with his invisibility and illusions, grab peripheral spots, sides of the fight, to damage enemies while staying slippery. But don't overextend, you're not invincible just because you can clone yourself. If you're a Loki main, your best friends will be high ground and off angles. You can always drop down from height, but you can't always go up to height. For Loki, you can teleport, but what if that's on cooldown? Let's talk about your clones right quick. You can place these puppies down practically anywhere, and this ties into positioning. You can have a clone behind you on the other side of the wall for a get out of jail free card if you need to lean on that at some point. You can use a clone to teleport quickly, kill someone on an off angle. You can teleport to safety while you place your runes down to heal your team on point from a Groot ultimate. There are endless possibilities here and we can't cover them all in this video, but just know you can keep it simple and still extract insane value out of this character from this one ability alone. If you have fairly traditional frontline tanks like Emma and Doctor Strange in front of you, you can take a more, I'm gonna sit in the backline approach. They're gonna soak up a ton of damage, so you're gonna need to heal splash them and heal them a lot and be ready to place your runes down for them in a split second. High ground is ideal for Loki in this aspect because it's easy to shoot down toward your frontline's feet to increase your healing odds, but even more important than that, with Loki especially, it's knowing what kind of team comp you're running and what you're going up against. Again, if you have an Emma and Strange in the front and you're not getting dove or pressured much, you can totally chill in the backline, which increases your chances of staying alive. Why? Because the enemy team needs to get through practically your entire team to get to you. Now, some heroes will easily be able to do that, like a sneaky Magik player or a Venom, but you'll find plenty of games where you can simply enable your team by staying alive and keeping everyone up, all from the backline. And it's a beautiful thing when that happens. Good positioning is also knowing where your other strategist is at all times, because you can't really heal yourself as Loki. You have your runes, but that's a one-time thing. And if you're in a pinch, going invisible to heal yourself is fine, if you can pull it off. But if you're a quarter HP, it'll take forever for you to get back into the fight. You need direct heals, ideally. If you walk ever so slightly in front of your Luna Snow, for example, you'll clearly see you and probably even accidentally heal you if you stand directly in front of her. And yes, we all have those games where even if you're standing right in front of your strategist, you won't get healed. That happens. but take these steps to bettering yourself and you'll consistently set yourself up for better engagements. Luna Snow. With Luna Snow, you've got this cool duality where you can switch between healing your squad with ice shards or freezing enemies to slow their push, making her super adaptable to the flow of battle. You can play aggressive by weaving in close for quick freezes, or you can sit back and chain heals across multiple teammates while piercing through the enemy from safety. But what you should focus on is mid to backline positioning that lets you switch your playstyle without getting isolated. Think perching on ledges or behind partial walls where you can provide heals to your vanguards while glancing at the enemy frontline to apply slows. If your team is holding a choke, look for ways to stay slightly elevated to overview the fight, alternating heals to keep everyone healed up and freezes to disrupt dives. Reposition laterally if someone flanks, using the terrain to break line of sight. You can stay behind cover while still healing your team. Smart enemy players will focus you if you're in line of sight, so don't put yourself in the middle of your team's path unless you're using your piercing damage and healing ability, or you have to be in the wide open middle for some reason. Often, you don't need to do this though. You can totally take more cover than what you're likely used to playing like. It's an easy habit to get into with this game. And don't clump right on top of your other strategists unless you're swapping heals in a pinch. Position to cover them too, but from an angle that maximizes your reach. If you see the enemy thing diving in to rush you in the backline, that's your cue to prep a freeze. In higher ranks, anticipate area blast ultimates like Iron Man or Magneto by shifting to a safer spot early, ensuring you're alive to follow up with sustained heals rather than risking it all for no reason. With Luna Snow, you can heal from afar, damage from afar, snowflake your tanks or divers, and freeze out of position enemies. If you play this higher than average mechanically demanding hero right, you can boost your team as good as anyone else in this game. And you can apply damage more than people expect. Don't forget this last part. Look for ways to sneak in damage. That's how you help carry, by doing damage when you can. Anyone can sit back and heal. What you need to do to kick it up another level is actively look for ways to deal damage without frontlining. Mantis. Mantis brings a unique, empathetic touch to the strategist role, letting you heal bursts on single targets, boost damage for whoever needs it, or even put threats to sleep mid-dive. You can pocket a carry hero aggressively, roam for opportunistic sleeps, or anchor the backline with steady support. There's real depth here. The unique approach you can take with Mantis is consistently off-angling with her. You can't do this as often with a lot of other strategists because their kits offer healing through your teammates simultaneously. So you're freed up as Mantis to give someone a healing leaf or two, which heals over time, and you're off and away dealing damage just like a duelist. So the key takeaway with Mantis is you can off-angle and play a little more frontlining than a lot of other strategists. And that doesn't mean literally holding the front line and face tanking endless damage, but you play closer up so you can take advantage of the solid damage you can deal. The sweet spot is positioning close enough to your team for quick heals or damage buffs, but far enough to avoid splash damage on your team, hug corners or low walls to dart in for a heal or sleep, and then off angle again immediately. If your Vanguard is tanking heavy fire, you can stack healing their way while scanning for low health allies to boost as well, and reposition constantly to line up those connections without tunneling on one person. Against dive heavy comps, and I know a lot of you are thinking about this, you can play more conservatively in the back to help your other strategists, using sleeps to counter jumps and buying time to heal your strategists if they're pressured and low on HP. And again, this goes for most strategists, but don't linger on objectives unless it's a last stand. You're better off alive and orbiting the fight from angles that give you full team visibility. Enemies will prioritize shutting you down, and staying mobile ensures you can keep the energy leaves you have circulating during your uptime. Let's take to Rocket Raccoon. Position to place your healing orbs through multiple allies bouncing off walls for more impact. Avoid positioning too close. Your strength is banking heals, and you have the ability to heal across the map. Definitely use this to your advantage. If you're playing as Rocket, you should almost never need to be on the point if it's a domination map, which is capturing the objective in the middle. Again, you can heal across the map, bank heals. You need to ensure your revive beacon is out of line of sight from the enemy, and also not in an easy to find location for flankers. Plus, you have no staying power on the point. If you want to ensure your team captures the objective, you play Vanguard, not Rocket Raccoon. Way too many rockets come back from spawn and don't shoot their healing orbs on their way back to the fight. You can wall dash for extended range and spam your healing orbs to that, remember, you can bank. I've seen eternity level rocket players play super suboptimally here. And another note on using your dashes. If your Luna Snow freezes a dashing Black Panther, you can totally use your high damage gun to help take him out if he's low enough HP, or help deal insane damage in short range when your team has a healing ultimate down. Biggest tip for Rocket, you can play back further than you think. Yes, you want to ensure your orbs hit directly for maximum HP, but if you staying further back ensures your safety and uptime, prioritize that first. You're not doing any good feeding the enemy Venom kills. Ultron. Ultron's all about dealing damage and deploying drones, building on an automated network, if you will, that amplifies your presence without needing to be in the thick of it. You can summon these little bonus HP swarms for area control, beam down focused support, or even adapt mid-fight by repositioning, which you should always be doing. You can fly, so definitely use that to your advantage, and this lets you play far back as a drone commander or creep forward to overwhelm with numbers. What you should aim for is elevated or peripheral spots where your drones can buff your team, you can rain down pain on the enemy, but also stay high enough to where half the enemy has little to no answers for you. So just to be super clear, stay up on high ground, overlooking the objective when you can, launching your healing drone on key players like Strange trying to burst their duelist down, for example. If the enemy dives, you often don't even need to worry about your own life, but it's your job to help scare away those divers with your hefty beams. In general, you're playing with aggressive teammates by positioning just behind them, using drones to extend your support and heal multiple teammates at once. You can stay up and out of harm's way by simply repositioning behind walls and pillars, and you can play more aggressive than you think. If no one is answering you, use this to your advantage and off angle to apply insane pressure. Ultron shines in 3 strategist comps since his base healing isn't as potent as other strategists, so you need to be aggressive and deal damage to make up for it. Good spots adapt to the hero, map, and team comp. Make sure you stay flexible like a really flexible thing. Bad habit to avoid. Tunnel healing one ally. Be sure to swivel. Check everyone. Flying teammates need your help too. Sight lines depend on where allies and foes are right now. Range is relative to threats. Cover only works if it blocks current angles. Every game varies, so think dynamically. Here's a goal to have if you struggle with all of this. Practice good positioning through repetition. Go slow at first, prioritize thoughtful spots over speed, work on one thing like, I'm gonna stay behind walls until I'm absolutely needed. You'll accelerate naturally until it's instinct, and a disclaimer, you'll drop some games practicing, but gains compound. Reward learning, not ranks. That icon doesn't define you. If you watch this far, consider supporting the channel and becoming a channel member, and consider subscribing for more Marvel Rivals guides that pack real hardcore value, because we're hardcore around here. And check out my most recent video where we break down every hero by climbing difficulty here. Until next time!